London Collegiate Brass, conducted by James Stovall.
呢一首係顧斯達夫·霍爾斯特佢嘅莫塞爾組曲，為我哋演出嘅係倫敦學院銅管樂團由司徒巴特指揮。
One minute, we got a back announcement.
The time right now is 8:30, and with me in the studio is film critic Howard Elias. Good morning.
Good morning. What a horrible morning.
I know. First time I had to use my umbrella for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yuck. Okay.
Yeah. But I'm hopefully going to cheer people up with my reviews.
Well, they sound like they're going to be amusing.
As they always are.
So, we're going from...
No, well, we can't say what I told you because that just gives everything away.
Oh, okay.
We have to,
We're going to start with Red Sparrow.
We're going to start with Red Sparrow, which opened last Thursday, but I didn't see it till last Thursday, so I couldn't review it. This is the latest film starring Jennifer Lawrence, who is seems to be taking risks with her post-Hunger Games career. Some of them are good, some of them not so good. This one's an interesting one because if you've ever wondered what she looks like without any clothes on, now's your chance to find out. So she is teamed up in this film. She's teamed up
probably
with...
a body double anyway.
No, I think it's her.
Oh.
I think it's her.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah, nice body. Yeah, no surprises. She's teamed up with her former director from the Hunger Games, Frances Lawrence, who's not related to her, and she plays a Russian prima ballerina turned lethal weapon in a post-Cold War spy thriller. Now, it's based on the book of the same name. It's a 2013 award-winning novel by Jason Matthews, who himself was a former CIA operative. Did you read the book by any chance?
No, I didn't.
Neither did I. I have to suspect that the book is better than the movie. Because, now I'm going to say, because the movie really is high-class trash. It might be like, maybe the book is like airport fiction or something like that. One of these books you buy before you get on a plane. I don't know. So the story is, after Bolshoi ballerina Dominika Egarova breaks her leg, ending her stage career, she's recruited by her uncle, played by Belgian actor Matthias Schoenaerts. Right? I had to learn how to pronounce his name, Schoenaerts.
I wouldn't want to say that 10 times fast.
Yeah. Well, it's very funny because even he doesn't know how to pronounce his name. He says Schoenaerts, but Belgians and Flemish people say, no, it's Schoenaerts. So, okay, there you go. So he was in The Danish Girl. So she's recruited by her uncle to become a Russian intelligence operative who uses her body as a weapon. And after a quick stint at something called Sparrow School, where she proves herself to be something less than the best student in the class, she's assigned to her first mission, and it's a big one. She has to go to Budapest to seduce CIA operative Nate Nash, played by Joel Edgerton, who was in the movie Loving last year, which I saw at the International Film Festival, but I don't think it ever opened. And Exodus, Gods and Kings. He's an Australian actor who puts on a very poor American accent in this film. And she has to learn who his mole is inside the SVR, which is the KGB, the successor to the KGB. Now, using both her body and her brains, she gets close to Nash while trying to keep her predacious uncle at bay. So the uncle basically gives her no choice to go into this role. Well, she does have a choice, but in the movie she really doesn't have a choice. And then he's trying to get her in more and more and more, and she's trying to push him off while still trying to do her job. Now, the whole premise that a ballerina, after a few lessons in seduction, lockpicking, and target shooting, could hold her own against seasoned agents is slightly ridiculous.
And previously broke a leg.
Well, the leg got healed. The leg healed.
Well, sometimes, they don't heal so...
Yeah.
As well as you'd like to be able to be some kind of super agent.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, like to me, I thought, why doesn't she go into teaching?
How is her accent, by the way?
Well, I'm going to get to that.
Okay.
It sounds like you already know the answer before you ask that question. But I'll get to that too. Now, granted, as I said, she's highly motivated for reasons that are revealed in the story and in the trailer, which is surprising that they would put that in the trailer. But even these are never fully fleshed out to be believable. And to make matters worse, she does a few things that no well-trained agent would ever do. First, she dyes her hair the most perfect shade of blonde using a home dye kit, and then she goes swimming in a pool. Now, I'm no...
Green.
Yeah, right, exactly. Now, I'm no expert when it comes to hair, but I believe, yeah, if you dye your hair blonde and go swimming in a pool, it will turn green. The hair, not the pool. Now, second, and this also happens at the pool, she wears the skimpiest of swimsuits to do laps,
Mhm.
right? So,
Yeah. So you would be wearing something more,
something that holds things in better.
Yeah.
So, yes, she wants Nash to notice her, but that's hardly subtle. Now, and in fact, when that scene, my audience just broke out in laughter when they saw what she was wearing because it was just so ridiculous. So the bottom line with the film is it's really nothing more than spy porn or spy-like porn, as the case goes.
Not
Now,
recommended, and certainly not recommended for children.
yeah, yeah.
What's the rating?
I think it's 2B. I don't think it's maybe it's no, it's probably no, maybe it's a 3. It's either 2B or 3. Now, to make matters worse, comes the accents, which are very moose and squirrel. Right? You know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. So for anybody who doesn't know what I'm talking about, there's the
Rocky
old Rocky and Bullwinkle cartoons with Natasha and Boris Badenov. She was Natasha Fatal and Boris Badenov, where she'd go, Boris, get moose and squirrel. Well, that was the accents that they all had, except for Joel Edgerton, who had a lousy American accent. So it was...
I'm dying here.
Really, I mean, now you want to see the film just to see if I'm right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, on the plus side, I don't think anybody ever realized how much Matthias Schoenaerts looks like Vladimir Putin. Now, if somebody is considering making a movie version of the Donald Trump story, he will be the man to play Vladimir Putin, to play the Russian leader. It's frightening how similar he looks. Now, the scenes with Jeremy Irons, Charlotte Rampling, who both play evil Russians, they're probably the best. But these two are really good actors.
Well,
we've seen them do so much better than this. Also good is Mary Louise.
Why did they choose to take those roles?
Money. It's all about the money.
Okay.
And also good is Mary Louise Parker from the TV show Weeds, who adds some fun to this really dull thriller by playing a boozy aide to a U.S. senator. But unfortunately, her scenes are all too brief. Now, there's even something even worse. It's supposed to be set today, but there's a scene involving a piece of now obsolete technology that you just, again, my audience just killed themselves laughing because we just don't use this technology anymore. So it's today, but it's not today. As well, Russia is depicted in shades of gray, and gray. So, you know what, if they should have just said, okay, it's set in 1992, let's say, and be honest about it, and then move everything to 1992. But, so you had this sort of anachronism going on where you had modern cars with old technology. So anyhow, I honestly didn't figure out the big reveal, and I usually see things long before they come, but I really didn't care. I just wanted the movie to end. So all in all, as much as I hated this film, it's not horrible. It's just really bad, and it should have been a lot better. But if you want to look for some mindless entertainment, or you want to see how Jennifer Lawrence looks nude, go for it. But as Boris Badenov is known to say, it's as dumb as a sack of hammers. And that's what I'm going to say about Red Sparrow. All right.
Okay, Berlin Syndrome.
Berlin Syndrome is an Australian film set in Berlin. Very interesting. This one opens today. Now, who knew that jumping into a sack with a complete stranger could be dangerous? Duh. Right. But that's what Aussie backpacker Claire, played by Australian actress Teresa Palmer, who looks a lot like Kristen Stewart with her auburn-dyed locks. This is what she learns on her visit to Berlin. She's there to take photos of old East German architecture for a book that she plans to put together when she gets back to Brisbane. And on the second day in the city, she meets Andy, played by German actor Max Reinfeldt, whom I love. A lot of people think he's a wonderful actor. I do too. He's been in a lot of films, and I've reviewed quite a few of his films here. He's a handsome and charming local high school English teacher who offers to show her some of Berlin's less touristy sites. Now, it doesn't take long before he asks her back to his flat, and this flat is located in one of the city's many abandoned Soviet-era apartment blocks, where there is no one within earshot to hear anybody. So Claire throws caution to the wind, goes back to the flat, and has a wonderful time with Andy. But the next morning, after Andy goes off to work, Claire discovers that he's locked her inside the flat. Now, of course, accidents like that happen every day, right? That happens to you all the time, doesn't it? Right? Right? Very weird. But when Andy comes home that night, Claire realizes that this was no accident. Andy has no plans to ever let her leave.
Okay.
Now, this is directed by Australian director Kate Shortland. This is her second film made in Germany. Her last film was in 2012, a Nazi-era story called Lore, L-O-R-E, which I think I reviewed. I certainly saw the film, and it was an excellent film, won lots of awards. This film was nominated for 8 awards at the Australian version of the Oscars, called the Australian Academy of Cinema and Television Arts. Nominated for 8 awards, didn't win one, for very good reason. This story is very one note.
It sounds like the plot sounds like something. How could you stretch it out into a movie?
Right, yeah, it's like a 2-hour movie.
I'm trying to imagine. Well, after she finds out that he's deliberately locking her in, what happens next?
Right. Well, so you have the title
She
Berlin's.
tries to escape or what?
Yeah, you know she's going to get away at some point, and that's not a great spoiler because if she didn't get away, there wouldn't be a movie, right? So, but the name of the film, Berlin Syndrome, sort of is, it sort of give you the idea of Stockholm Syndrome, where people who are held captive develop, they develop what do you call it, affinity or the understanding for their captor and sympathy for their captor. So at some point, when the film shifts its focus from Claire to Andy, as we try to, we learn more about Andy and try to understand his behavior as if his behavior is acceptable on any terms. It's not, by the way. So that I found a little weird. But while the story shifts to Andy, it goes back and forth to her every once in a while as she's sort of rambling around the apartment. So you think, okay, maybe she's developing this Stockholm Syndrome. Or is she? We're not really sure. We don't really get into it deep enough to know, is she doing it or is this an act? So we're not too sure. And also the other problem I have with this film, there's so many red herrings involving a mysterious room in the flat that only he can enter. There's a few subplots involving his father's dog, his colleagues at the school, one of the students, and all these things, they don't go anywhere. They're just these red herrings that lead to dead ends. They don't go anywhere. And you think, if you're going to do this, at least, explore one of them a little bit further. So I can think of at least a dozen ways this story could have been better, could have been more thrilling, but this is what we got. So this is a very lame film. I would say give this film a miss unless you're a fan of Max Reinfeldt or if you're planning on going abroad by yourself anytime soon, or maybe your kids are and you want to scare the bejesus out of them to behave. So not a great film, unfortunately.
You saved the best for last.
I saved the best for last.
Talk about Phantom Thread.
Phantom Thread, Oscar-winning film. It won for costume design. Not surprisingly, it won for costume design because it's about a couturier. It's about a dress designer. If this film wouldn't have won the Oscar, I think everybody would have been shocked. But that's not to say that the award wasn't deserved because the costumes are beautiful. Now, it was also nominated for Best Actor for its star, Daniel Day-Lewis, who has already won 3 Oscars. If he would have won this one, he would have been the only actor in Oscar history to win 4 Oscars, but he didn't win, and he has announced that this will be his last movie. He's technically resigned, he's retired at the age of 60. But who knows, maybe he'll come back. This is the second film he's done with this director, Paul Thomas Anderson, who they also worked together in There Will Be Blood, one of his Oscar-winning films. So, who knows, maybe he'll be back. Now, Phantom Thread is a period drama set in London in the 1950s, and Day-Lewis plays the wonderfully named Reynolds Woodcock. Where do they think up names like Reynolds Woodcock? I mean... incredible. Now, he is a couturier to Europe's elite. His sister, Cyril, who is played by Leslie Manville, who, by the way, is the ex-wife of Oscar winner Gary Oldman. Did you know that?
No.
Oh, okay. Yeah, she was married. A little bit of gossip, Hollywood gossip, or I guess British gossip. So his sister, Cyril, is the business's manager, but she also manages his life. She manages her brother's life, dispatching his lady friends when he tires of them. And he does tire of them often, apparently. He is extremely fastidious to the point where even noisily buttering one's toast at the breakfast table sends him into a tirade of verbal abuse. He is a nasty piece of work, basically. He's a perfectionist. He makes beautiful creations, but he is not a nice person. And she's not so nice either. But I think she's probably not nice because she's had to deal with him all their lives. Now, after Cyril sends his latest woman packing, Reynolds heads to their home in the Cotswolds to clear his head. And there he meets Alma, played by Luxembourgish actress and young Meryl Streep lookalike, Vicky Krieps. I've never seen her in anything, but she's very good, and we're probably going to be seeing more of her. They immediately hit it off, and before long, she's moved into his home, become his lover, his muse, his model, and his very able business assistant. Now, Cyril is not pleased because she's seen this so many times before, but the women quickly develop an understanding of each other's roles and their own roles in Reynolds' life. So they sort of have a truce. You know, they don't really like each other, but they have a truce. And as for Alma, she's no slouch. Not only can she take Reynolds' abuse full on, she can dish it right back up at him. And dish being the operative word, and I'm not going to say anymore. If you want to know what I mean, you have to go see the movie. And after so many women before her, Reynolds may just have met his match with Alma. Now, this is a very curious film. The performances are all excellent. All three actors do wonderful work. As I said, the costumes are beautiful, but these three principal characters, are nasty people. They're not people you want to be friends with. So it makes it very challenging to watch them. But I guess that's, maybe that's a testament to good writing, that you do watch them. I don't know. Certainly critics are appreciating this film more than audiences are. Now, it's billed as a romantic drama, but I would disagree because there's also some Hitchcockian suspense. And very interestingly, Alfred Hitchcock's wife's name was Alma. So maybe that was intentional. There is a wicked dose of dark humor, and there's even a ghost. So it's got a little bit of everything in there. And it's an interesting play how these three characters all jockey for control over each other. So it's a psychological, thriller, drama, romance. It's got a little bit of everything mixed together. Now, if you accept at its core that this film is really all about seduction and power and control, then I think you'll enjoy this film. This is how I enjoyed the film. I said, okay, forget that these three are nasty people. This is about power, seduction, and control. So I like the film, but it is a hard film to watch. So I say, go see it. You might not like it, but you will like the costumes at any rate. And the performances are very good. So of the three films, there's a lot of other films opening. There's actually 5 or 6 films opening today, but I couldn't see all of them. I couldn't even review all of them. But I'd say this is your best bet for this week.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Howard Elias.
All right.